Доброго дня всім слухачам цього подкасту. І сьогодні ми виходимо на міжнародний рівень. І сьогодні в нас пан Ендрю Беккрафт, який створив доволі таки нашумівші кастоми, лего-кастоми, фігурки, які репрезентують, власне, захисників Азовсталі і інших людей, які зараз знаходяться в лавах ЗСУ.
Hello, nice to meet you.
When did came that moment when you realized that you want to be a Lego fan, professional Lego fan?
Well, I'm still not a professional. I have a day job working for technology teams, but I've been running a website called The Brothers Brick for about 17 years. So it's been a long time since I've been doing things, I guess, semi-professionally, as you would say. You know, I am not at all in any way famous, and I don't generally post things first on my own account. I usually post through The Brothers Brick instead. But in this instance, I posted some small minifigures, Lego minifigures, on my own account first, and I was not expecting the kind of response from Ukraine and Ukrainians that I have had.
It's kind of interesting story because in our situation, we are very happy when every culture phenomenon became a part of our fight to victory.
Yes.
When it's some kind of songs by popular singers, or even manga, or some other kind of art. And with Lego, it's a kind of interesting situation because a lot of Ukrainians have seen your works, and they thought that these are actual Lego products. But
No.
it's very easy to explain because in our country we didn't had anything like Lego culture in all of 30 years from the renewal of independence, because as a post-Soviet people, a lot of Ukrainians think that Lego is just an expensive toy, and they not can't even think that it's maybe some kind of art. But on another hand, a lot of Ukrainians who seen it, your works, already wants to buy it, as that was with Citizen Brick's figure of Zelensky and Molotov cocktails. Very interesting story is that in our country we already have some kind of our knockoff of Lego that called iBlock, and that building toy company had their own series that inspired by armored forces of Ukraine, but their sets are kinda interesting because besides of different models of drones and planes and ships, they also had a Voltron-style robot, and maybe I don't know something about our armored forces, but I don't remember when, dear Ukrainians, today we got an explosive armored robot to kill Russians. But it might be very, very great news for all of us.
Yes, that would be fantastic. That would be amazing.
So when did you came up with idea to make these customs?
Well, I have been working with people in Ukraine for about 15 years through my work in technology. So I used to work for Microsoft, and I have worked with development teams in Ukraine, in Kharkiv, Odessa, and Kyiv. for a long time now. And so I have many friends in Ukraine and some who are here in the United States as well, who have come from Ukraine. And so I care a lot about what's happening in Ukraine, and I wanted to do something small to show my support for the resistance of Ukraine against Russia's invasion.
Okay, and why do you choose aside of Azovstal defenders, you also choose magicians and an interviewer?
So I always appreciate people who are in non-combat roles and information roles and things like that. People who most people thinking about soldiers and fighting and wars might not think about how important it is for journalists to bring truth to the world, or for how combat medics help not just enemy soldiers, not just the Allied soldiers, but help to take care of prisoners of war, and all of the things that medics do, regardless of which side you're on. And my grandfather was a medic in World War II, although he never ended up being sent to war. He trained and served during World War II, volunteering to fight against fascism and totalitarianism then. So I really respect the non-combat roles as well as the heroic things that the defenders in Mariupol did as well.
How you communicate with that people that you made figures of after you posted that photos? I know you write some answers to Alina Mikhailova comments, and how other people write some messages for you?
I've been in touch with many of the people who I have the real people who I have depicted as Lego minifigs, and I will be sending copies of those minifigs to them so that they can sell them for charity, humanitarian aid, or equipment for their units, or even, of course, just to keep for themselves too. And so these minifigures use fairly rare parts. In some cases, I only had one part for a part. So I have found a few more parts, and Brickmania has donated some more parts as well. And so I'll be sending those to Ukraine as well. I've also been in touch with some of the families of the Azovstal defenders who are in captivity under Russian occupation right now, and those have been some heartbreaking conversations. A son who would like a copy of a minifig of his father who's in captivity, for example. And so, of course, I will be sending copies of those figures to those families as well.
Have you searched for Akita Inu minifigure?
I really wish that Lego would make an official Akita Inu. I was born and raised in Japan. I grew up with Japanese dogs like Akitas and Shiba Inu. And I know that Alina has an Akita, a red Akita herself. So it's disappointing that I was not able to include an Akita dog in my minifig for her, especially. And similarly with Patron, I would love to see a Jack Russell minifigure of the little sapper dog.
Besides that, the Alina's Akito Hugo is one of the most famous in dogs and animals in our Ukrainian Twitter. The figures of Hugo and Patron will be a great experience to build and in another hand it will be such a great example for LEGO ideas to make some very cool and unexpected projects, but I don't know how does LEGO will go on with such a theme as military dogs.
LEGO has a very long-standing policy of not having any themes or sets that depict modern warfare and modern conflict. Of course, that's not true for things like World War II with Indiana Jones sets.
And Future Wars with Star Wars sets.
Yes, exactly. So LEGO has plenty of conflict, but they have explained that they don't want their official projects or products to depict modern war because they don't want children to have to see that. See warfare that they are experiencing in their own lives in a toy that they're playing with. So for adults like me, we use official sets from, or rather custom sets from companies like Brickmania and parts from companies like Brick Arms and so on. But I don't think LEGO will ever produce anything related to the war in Ukraine.
If our Ukrainian company will have a good idea, they can make their own versions of such sets. But it came up with another question with licensing property, because I think if they just took your customs and make them from the Chinese part, it will be not very good, maybe, or you don't have any issues with that, with such.
I think my issue would be the profit going to a small, the profit going to a company that manufactures in China, and Chinese money goes to Russia. So that's currently, at least, certainly one of my issues with Chinese manufacturing. China supports Russia's war.
It's a story about two sides of one coin, because it seems like patriotic Ukrainian toy, but made in China, and it's a Bayraktar toy that made and sponsored by Chinese communist work.
Yes.
Great. Speaking about sets, how do you think can such companies previously mentioned Brickmania do some sets based on war, or they will wait some years to make it in retrospective?
No, Brickmania is already making many sets based on the war in Ukraine, and all of the profits for those go to support Ukrainian charities, as well as things like equipment for the Ukrainian Air Force. So Brickmania has made the Ghost of Kiev, MiG-29, for example, and they have also made Bunny, the captured T-80 BVM Russian tank, with the driver who used to be a software developer. And they've made a number of sets that depict the Ukrainian army and Ukrainian soldiers, and all of the profits for that go to causes in Ukraine. They have already raised more than $140,000 to support Ukraine through those custom Lego sets.
Oh, that sounds amazing, but I just a little bit shocked because I knew not so many information about it as I wanted. So, and really, it's just amazing news, especially when we remembered how many Russian fans of Brickmania there was before the war, and it's very interesting to see their butt hurts with this news.
I have Lego friends in Russia too, and the ones that I'm friends with are all very supportive of Ukraine and not supporting their president and their army in the invasion. So I'm glad to know a small number of good Russian people too.
But you know, in Ukraine we call the Russians good when they are when they are not so active.
Yes, I can completely understand that. Yes,
but it's another story. Why I mentioned Lego Russian fans? Because there's a kind of interesting situation with blogging about Lego. In Ukraine, we have just a little group of Lego bloggers that have more than 1,000 subscribers, and it's nothing compared to huge Russian channels that almost all of the potential viewers that can view our content watch. And speaking about their that's swamp bloggers reaction to the war, it's very obvious that they can't say any rude word except why does this special operation must touch children's toys. It's have nothing to do with it, and it's kind of stupid and funny, because when you see how does Lego company donates millions for to help Ukrainian kids and families, and then you see this, you just think that they are so simple-minded and or just don't want to realize that they are just stupid. But some of them just don't even wants to mention Ukraine in their videos, like that it's something cursed. When they have just yellow and blue in combination, they all say that thing, you know what is, and kind of stupid and funny.
Well, I have always posted things that are political, and I'll pause here and say that the war in Ukraine may have political origins from my perspective, but it is a moral fight today. It is not political. Of course, it's also political, but it's a fight between right and wrong, a moral fight that is not political in many respects. But I've always posted things both on the Brothers Brick and personally that are political, and so I've never really shied away from using Lego as an art form to try to change people's minds or to to highlight that it's okay to talk about important topics and important subjects. I'm an adult. I'm using Lego as an art form, and as a result of that, this is not something where I want somebody else telling me that because it's a children's toy, I'm not allowed to do such and such with Lego. Nonsense. That's like telling somebody with a typewriter you can't type a novel. That's like telling somebody with a computer you can't talk about politics on the internet because it's my internet. All of that is nonsense. And so I have always used Lego to talk about truth and talk about reality and talk about things that are happening in the world, including politics.
Yes, it's not just a war about politics. It's about our survival as a nation, as
yes.
And as a democratic world.
Yes.
And speaking about using Legos, it's obvious that Lego is doing things just like Lego City or another series that inspired by real life, showing us the variety of real life, and we cannot speak about such topics, not speaking about such such terrible things as war. And even if company doesn't want to speak about such major content, it doesn't mean that just their clients can't speak about it. But
exactly.
You know, on the other hand, at the first weeks of war, Lego Group recommends Ukrainian workers to do not participate in different meetings or just another actions, but it was not such a great thing for such big and modern company.
I think a lot of companies have really come a long way in the last 5 months in how they speak about and deal with the situation in Ukraine. For example, Lego is no longer operating in Ukraine at all, and will no longer even be selling Lego. So that's, it took several months for that to happen, for even that second decision of not selling Lego in Russia to happen.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but at the first sentence you say not in Russia, but in Ukraine. Or just it's right, but I don't know something. You say that they don't sell in Ukraine, but I think you mean that they don't sell and work in Russia.
Yes, I'm sorry, I misspoke. You're right. Yes, the decision not done. Thinking about Ukraine, of course, all the time. But yes, that's correct.
Speaking about Lego leaving Russia, it's a very interesting situation, because when typical Russia buyer see that it will not be new sets, they just say, "Oh, we will buy them on the black market," or we will buy cheap Chinese copies of them, bad quality, and so on. And it shows a lot of about Russians in general, when they just want to be thieves, I think. And speaking about companies and their position, I would like to mention Fiverr and his posts that were deleted for some reason, but I seen that him posted support for Ukraine, and it's amazing. But I think Instagram just deleted, or just his fans in Russia just were shocked that they are bad, and helped that social media to delete it. But it's a very good case that shows that even such a great people who were part of LEGO in some days also share the light side, if we can name it so.
Definitely.
And it's very interesting that, speaking about LEGO in Ukraine, we have good example of our department of Legos that share the good position right from the beginning of their existence. At the day of the independence of Ukraine last year, they made a very cute post, and it shows that they are not controlled from a Russian office like many of the companies did right before the invasion. And I even think that they are controlled from Denmark or just some Polish. And it's amazing because even if we took some things like LEGO catalogs, we can see that they are fully in Ukrainian, they are not printed in Russia, they printed in Europe, and that it's amazing because you see that LEGO sees that Ukraine is an independent country, not a part of some mystical big Russia that... But, on the other hand, I still waiting when the LEGO Architecture series just release Kyiv, or Lviv, or another country.
Yes. I think that would be wonderful, and that is one way that the LEGO company itself could to highlight Ukraine would be a LEGO Architecture Skyline series with the big statue and things like the cathedrals and so on. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Speaking about Chernivtsi, we can also wait, I think, when LEGO releases the architecture model of Chernivtsi National University that called Little Hogwarts in Ukraine, but I don't admire it. But it also looks the same, and it's very good example of our architecture. And I also wondered why there are not many projects that have many points on LEGO ideas with Ukrainian architecture or some Ukrainian things, because we have a lot to show to the world. There was a very good story when our Ukrainian builder get his set to become real. I now speak about Home Alone set, and in the contrast of that, Russians were very rude. Why does this house won, but their Baba Yaga don't get a set instead?
Oh my.
They even try to say that Home Alone set was designed by their Russian designer.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy. That's just crazy.
Just some comedy when you realize that designer was from Vinnytsia, which is in the west part of west region of Ukraine, and then you realize where is Russia?
Nowhere near.
And there's a lot of such stories when they just tries to say that it was them. Have you ever heard about their own Russian, really not Russian building block toys?
No, I never have.
And it was called the Город мастеров. In English it will be the City of Masters. And it's just some awful Chinese sets that are just repackaged in Russian localized boxes, and they're just awful designed and constructed, and they just fall apart when you finish to build them. And I heard about Brickmania's set Period of Ghost of Kiev, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's very it's very funny to get this set and to get Gorod Masterov set of Kremlin walls. To have some fun. To destroy them maybe, or by just breathing on them, because they just don't can be assembled in the right way. And it's
and they don't fit together well.
Yes. And it even smells like something you can hear. A very quality Russian product, Do you have any questions, or we can end our dialogue now?
Yeah, if there are ways that the overseas LEGO community outside of Ukraine can help the community in Ukraine to grow and to help children in Ukraine, it would be great to hear about that and to share that.
I think the most cool way to help Ukrainian children and all Ukrainians at all, it's to help us with some ammunition, but it's and help funds like Come Back Alive or Serhiy Pertura Fund in first way, because when you donate $1 for army, you just don't need to donate $10 for humanitarian purposes.
That is sadly true. Yes, absolutely.
Speaking about the LEGO community in Ukraine, the most right way to help us is to share our mockers and speak more about our channels and watch our stop motions, because we have a lot of channels that do that, and small amount of them are have a very good quality, and they are just an amazing kind of videos. And that's ways that LEGO community around the world can help Ukrainians and LEGO community.
That's awesome.
І я нагадую, що сьогодні ми говорили з паном Ендрю Беккрафтом і про те, як міжнародна лего-спільнота взагалі допомагає українцям бить русню красиво. Ну, а слухачам я нагадую, що всі корисні посилання і посилання на донати в описі, і почуємось потім.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for having me. Слава Україні!